How do you tell somebody this is the best carrot cake without telling somebody it's the best carrot cake? Hey everyone, it's Natasha of natashaskitchen.com. I'm gonna show you how to make the best carrot cake. This is moist, loaded with amazing carrot flavor, perfectly spiced, and I'm craving some carrot cake. We've got the oven preheated, so let's get started. Set the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit with the rack in the center, then butter 2 9-inch cake pans. You'll also want to line the bottom with parchment paper and brush some butter over the top. This will ensure easy release. Set those aside and we're going to start with making the cake batter. Once you have all of your ingredients measured out, this cake really comes together fast and is easy to make. In the first mixing bowl, combine the dry ingredients. That's flour, both of your sugars, white and light brown sugar, also baking soda, baking powder, and salt. Also add the spices, which are cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and ground cloves. The cloves are optional, but nice. Whisk that together until it's well combined, breaking up any clumps of brown sugar. Now in a second large mixing bowl, we're going to combine the wet ingredients. Start with some light olive oil, and you can substitute that. See the recipe post for substitution ideas. Also add some applesauce, and applesauce adds moisture and natural sweetness. Then add your eggs. Whisk those together until they're well combined. Now we're gonna add the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. I like using a spatula for this, that way I can scrape the bowl and get every drop in there. Then we're gonna use that same spatula to fold the mixture together. Fold, scraping from the bottom to catch any pockets of flour, and continue folding until no streaks of flour remain. Now you'll need 14 ounces of carrots, which is about 6 medium carrots. Peel them and grate them on the fine holes of a box grater. Finely grating the carrot this way is important. It will incorporate better into the cake batter, bake up properly, and it won't sink to the bottom of the cake layers. When you're done grating, you should have about 3 cups of finely grated carrot. Add the carrot to your batter. This is also when you add your raisins, and I like to use golden raisins, and the raisins are optional. Not everybody loves raisins in their dessert. Also add your chopped pecans, and again, if there's somebody that doesn't love nuts, you can leave the nuts out. Use a spatula to fold the ingredients together until they're well incorporated. Now divide the batter evenly between your prepared cake pans. You can roughly eyeball the quantity, but I do like even cake layers, so I like to check them with my kitchen scale, and I will link to this in the notes. It's my favorite kitchen scale, and it gets a lot of use in my kitchen. The cake pans should feel heavy, but they do bake up beautifully. Transfer those to your fully preheated oven and bake on the center rack for about 30 to 35 minutes. When they're done, the tops should be set, and a toothpick inserted into the center of the cake will come out clean. These are looking perfect. We're gonna leave them in the cake pans for about 15 to 20 minutes to cool, then transfer to a wire rack to let them cool completely before applying frosting. Once they've had a chance to rest in the pans, I do like to use a small plastic knife or this cake release tool. Run it around the edges of your cake and it'll come out much easier. To easily transfer to a rack, set the rack over the cake, flip it over, and release the cake pan. Now you can peel back and discard that parchment paper and repeat with the second cake layer. You can already tell this cake is gonna be so moist and tender and loaded with carrot. You'll need to let those cool completely to room temperature. Once they've cooled, you can start making the frosting. Cream cheese frosting is the classic choice for carrot cake, and our recipe is so easy. In a large mixing bowl or the bowl of a stand mixer, beat together 3 sticks or 1½ cups of softened unsalted butter. Beat that on high speed for 1 minute or until it's lightened in color. And a stand mixer probably would have been a better choice considering how much butter is all over my kitchen now. Beat in 8 ounces of softened cream cheese. Beat those together until they're well combined, scraping down the bowl as needed. Now beat in salt and vanilla extract. And this is my 2-ingredient homemade vanilla extract. I love it for all of my baking projects, and I will leave a link to the easy recipe in the notes. Once those are combined, it's time to add the sugar. I'm using a total of 4 cups of powdered sugar, and add that 1 cup at a time, beating with each addition. This will ensure you don't end up in a cloud of powdered sugar. And you can also add the powdered sugar to taste if you prefer a less sweet frosting. Once all of the sugar is incorporated, kick the mixer up to high speed and beat for 2 to 3 minutes or until it's whipped, thick, and spreadable. You'll need to scrape down the bowl a couple of times to make sure it's all really well blended. What I love about this cream cheese frosting is it's thick and easy to pipe onto cakes, and it's not runny. Alright, our cake layers have baked and cooled, and our frosting is ready, so it's time to assemble. Place the first layer of cake onto a cake stand with the base side down. Add a generous layer of cream cheese frosting over the top. I find using an offset spatula to spread the frosting makes the process so much easier, and I will leave links to this and all of my favorite baking tools in the recipe notes. Now carefully top with your next cake layer, and I like to put this bottom side up. This gives me a very flat and even surface to decorate. Admittedly, I am not a trained cake decorator, but I have learned some things over the years. To start frosting the cake, I like to add some frosting, and then we're gonna do what we call crumb coating. So we want to get a nice thin layer of frosting all around the cake. This secures the crumbs so you don't have crumbs flying all over the place and getting your frosting messy. Also, if you prefer not to fuss with the decorating, you can just apply the frosting however you prefer and give it a fun rustic look. There's no shame in that. Once we have the crumb coat done, I'm gonna add some more frosting to the top and sides to completely cover the crumbs. I'd also like to admit that I had no plans for decorating this cake, and I'm completely doing this on the fly, and you can do the same and really make it your own carrot cake. For a clean presentation, wipe the edge of your cake pan with a paper towel. Now the rest of this process is completely optional. I like to add a fun little pattern, pulling up on my offset spatula around the edges. Then we're gonna take a piping bag fitted with a large open star tip and fill it with the rest of the frosting. Prime your bag, twist the top closed, and pipe beautiful little puffs all around the cake. You can kind of gauge how many puffs or how big those puffs should be based on how much frosting you have left. Okay. Also, whenever there's nuts in the cake, I like to let people know just in case there's allergies. So sprinkle on some chopped pecans around the edges of your cake. It adds a pretty border and makes it look more like a carrot cake. All right. Clearly, I am not a trained cake decorator, self-taught, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. I actually like when a carrot cake looks a little bit rustic. It's nice. All right, and really you can decorate it any way you want to. You can keep it simple and just sprinkle nuts all over it, whatever you like to do. And if you make this cake, make sure to tag me so I can see your beautiful creations. Okay, and once it's decorated, at this point, you can refrigerate it. I like to chill it just a little bit. It makes it a little easier to slice. You can also freeze the entire cake, which I love because it makes it a make-ahead dessert. We're gonna pop this in the fridge for a little bit and then we're gonna dig right in because, oh, I cannot wait. I love this cake. Be right back. All right, it is not fully chilled yet, but who can wait for that? I want some cake. And I'm gonna dig right into this because we need to do a taste test. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. This is one amazing cake. All right, here we go. Now, I gotta let you guys look at this. Look at the textures here. My mouth is watering just looking at this. It's so good. Okay, here we go. I'll plate that up. Oh. The anticipation is real. Okay, here we go. Look at how soft and tender this crumb is. It's so moist and just wonderful. I mean, think about there's 3 cups of shredded carrot in there and applesauce. It can't not be moist. Here we go. Whoop.
Oh. Wow. I mean, it's not just the carrot cake, it's the frosting and the combination of the two. It's not overly sweet like grocery store carrot cakes tend to be, kind of like yucky sweet. This is just the right balance of sweetness, and it has a lot of natural sweetness in there too from the carrots and the applesauce. And then this frosting, I'm telling you, this is the same frosting we used for our popular red velvet cake. We also made carrot cake cupcakes out of this, which if you haven't tried those already, it's similar to this, just cupcake form. It's crunchy from the nuts, chewy from the raisins, and you can sense the little bits of carrot in there. It has so much flavor because it is perfectly spiced. I'm about to go enjoy this. Let me know if you guys spotted Sharky in the video and where you saw him. Also, if you haven't already heard, our first cookbook is finally available to order, and it has some pretty epic desserts in it. We'll leave a link in the description where you can order that, and we'll see you in the next episode of Natashas Kitchen.